Hi everyone, it's Sean from What Up and welcome back to another video, and today we're talking casting in Season 2 and beyond of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. Now, we've known that Jessica Boone has been part of the production for quite some time. In fact, that was mistakenly leaked during Season 1 when it was airing. However, we didn't know in what capacity. I've made some educated guesses here on the channel, and so have a lot of the other fandom, but last week, her agency released a congratulatory message that basically gave us her character's name, which is pretty neat. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do here. We cover Wheel of Time show news, pretty much anything and everything related to the Wheel of Time. That's what we talk about. So if you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like in the video, and of course, leave a comment to let us know how we're doing. Now, we're going to talk about certain elements of Jessica's character today in the show that sort of really have to have long-reaching spoiler warnings for the book series. Now, I know not everybody that watches my channel reads the books. However, I am going to give you a fair warning that I'm going to ruin some stuff that happens much later on in the book series than we're used to. So, spoiler warning. If you have not seen the first season of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show, that's episodes 1 through 8 on Prime Video, or read the first 8 books, yes, 8 books, that's the Eye of the World all the way up through and including the Path of Daggers and Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, be forewarned, I may ruin plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums. Alright, so when you think of acting, you generally think of the A-listers. You would think of the Scarlett Johanssons, the Robert Downey Jr.'s, the Vin Diesels, Tom Cruises, and of course the Rosamund Pikes. What you don't think of are the tens of thousands of professional actors and actresses that make up the bulk of every project that you watch. If you're watching a television show or a movie, most of them are not A-listers, and most of them are incredibly talented. And what the Wheel of Time has done, and is very good at still, is picking the absolute cream of the crop of these professional actors and actresses to add to the show. Jessica Boone is no exception to that rule. She's a trained actress. She took her BA in acting and directing from the University of Houston School of Theater and Dance, and then basically has done everything you can think of afterwards. Her resume is not only incredibly long, it's very impressive, and I would say that she's one of the best actresses of our generation. Alright, so as far as her career goes, like I said, she has done a ton of stuff. It started in 1973 with anime. So if you were an anime fan in the early 80s, 90s, or even early 2000s, you've likely heard Jessica Boone's voice without even realizing it because she has hundreds of credits to her name. Now back then, to be an anime fan, you really had to enjoy anime. I remember ordering it out of the back of magazines, fighting for other people in the fandom for the 1 or 2 copies of certain big animes at our local video store. And let's face it, back then it wasn't totally socially acceptable to like anime at all, and there were no streaming services, there was no YouTube, there was no other avenues to get it, so if you liked it, you really had to work hard to get it, and Jessica Boone was a big part of that journey for many people without even realizing it because she has done so many different and varied animes. Now, in addition to that, she has a huge list of credits on both TV and in movies, everything from Das Boot to Carnival Row. You've probably recognized her in a ton of projects without even realizing it. And she is a producer and associate director of the Prague Shakespeare Company. Now, if you don't know what that is, or if you sort of kind of recognize the name, it's because her husband, Guy Roberts, who plays Uno on the show, is also a member of the Prague Shakespeare Company, and they teach up-and-coming actors and actresses, they teach seasoned actors and actresses, and they perform at huge venues pretty much all over the world. She has a huge amount of stage credits to her name, and she is just absolutely a phenomenal actress. Now, which character is she playing? Well, we didn't really know. Like I said, during Season 1, her agency sort of released the fact that she was in the show along with her husband, Guy Roberts. And they quickly retracted that because it was one of those things where Amazon hadn't announced it yet and they didn't want anyone else to know. But at that point, we all knew that she was part of the show because once it's on the internet, it's there forever, but we didn't know her role. It wasn't until during the filming of Season 2 we saw a lot of pictures on social media of her hair. Her hair was styled and cut in a certain way that reminded us of the Shan-Chan. So she had one side of her head shaved, essentially. And the rumors kind of went wild throughout the fandom at that point, which character she'd be playing, but we had no confirmation on it. I actually did a video not too long ago where I speculated that she'd be playing Alwyn, Suroths' voice, but we didn't really know for 100%. Till last week when her agency put out a congratulatory message saying that she's playing Alwyn in Season 2 of The Wheel of Time. So she is actually playing that character, which is really neat. I guessed it, and I'm quite happy with it because I think she's going to be perfect for the role. However, you're not going to find that online anywhere because it was quickly scrubbed, because even though she was in the trailer, even though she was standing next to Suroth, dressed a certain way with a certain haircut, most of the actual fans who read the books would understand what character she possibly could be playing, Amazon hadn't announced her yet. So they asked them to pull it. So it's not there anymore. But like I said earlier, once on the internet, it's there forever. So we do know that Jessica Boone is going to be playing Alwyn in season 2 and likely beyond of The Wheel of Time. Now, at this point, if it's been a while since you've read the books, or if you haven't read the books at all, you're probably asking yourselves, who is Alwyn and how does she fit into the story? All right, so Alwyn is a voice. Now, in the Shanchan society, a voice is a slave that speaks for someone of higher rank. So, for example, a High Lady Suroths is one of the higher ranking nobility, probably one of the highest ranking nobility of the Shanchan Empire on this side of the Aryth Ocean. So she's not going to talk to many people at all. Now, because of that, not only will she not meet their eyes, she can't interact with her followers or pretty much anyone else she meets. So she uses someone called a voice. Now, Alwyn is Suroths' personal voice, so she does all of the speaking for Suroths. So Jessica will likely do a lot of speaking roles, and Suroths will likely not. Now, Alwyn is not just a voice in the books. She also has a very interesting plot line that I kind of hope they mirror a little bit in the show. Now, why I gave such a big spoiler warning up to book 8 is because we're going to reveal a few things in the next couple of minutes that will likely ruin some things for you if you haven't read the books. So if you want to dip out now is the time to do so before I get into some of the more heavy spoilers for the series. Last chance. All right. So High Lady Suroths is actually a dark friend. She is in cahoots with Saramaj, one of the Forsaken. Now, in the show, I don't think we're getting the full gamut of Forsaken. I don't think we're getting all of them. I think they're either going to amalgamate a bunch of them or cut them out, or we're not going to see them at all. And that's sort of reinforced by the fact that we see a Shamael, or who is a Shamael, Ferris, walking side by side with High Lady Suroths in the trailer. So likely he will take the position of Saramaj and sort of do the interaction with the Shanchan there. Now, in addition to being a dark friend, High Lady Suroths has a secret, and that secret is the fact that all Suldam can learn to channel. Now, Damane in the Shanchan Society are property. They're not real people. They don't even really exist, because if you can channel, it makes you worse than a person. Suldam are those that leash and control them, and the big secret is that they can also channel. They can just learn to channel. They lack the spark. Alwyn is the one in the book series that finds Rena and Seta, who are two Suldam who have been leashed. And she carries that secret, and then later on in the book series, we actually get to see her hold Liandrin on a leash. So I'm really hoping that at some point during, maybe not the second season, but maybe the third season, we'll get to see Kate Fleetwood leashed and paraded around by Alwyn, because let's face it, she is also a dark friend, and she's the one who sells out Egwene to the Shanchan, and she's just an absolutely vile person. Now, that does end up ultimately to Alwyn being poisoned by Liandrin, because she's trying to curry favor with Suroths by reducing the number of people that know this big secret. But it's a very kind of convoluted but neat side plot line that I really do hope they include in the show. Now, do we expect Jessica Boone to stay more than one season? I really hope so, because let's face it, they're kind of building the Shanchan up to be really, really big, much bigger than they were in the books, because we saw them in a couple of books and they sort of went away and they came back for a little bit here and there. But although they were a formidable enemy to Randall Thor, the dragon, and pretty much everyone else they come up against, they weren't focused on in the book as much as I would have liked. There was sort of a diluted focus on the Shanchan until the last battle came, and it was one of those things where, you know, they were sort of used as a crutch when they were absolutely needed. I hope the show puts them more front and center, makes them more of a focus. Now, one of those things that I think that they might do is actually use them as a focus for the Dark One's forces. Since we've seen a Shamael walking side by side with High Lady Suroths, maybe it might mean that they're going to use them as a focal point for the Dark Friends, for a more organized society, and they'll use them as one of the elements of the last battle in a different way. Now, I'm just spitballing here. We're still a few seasons out from that, but I'm kind of hoping they'll do something of that nature, because I really did enjoy the Shanchan in the books. And let's face it, they're absolutely brutal. They're absolutely horrific, but they're well written. And it's one of those things where, so far from what we've seen from the trailers, I don't think they're going to be shying away from how they're portrayed in the books to the screen. I think they're actually doubling down in some aspects. So it'll be very interesting to see. Now again, Jessica Boone's playing Alwyn Suroths' voice, and I can't wait to see her likely in the first few episodes of the second season. We're not quite sure which episode she premieres in, but Season 2 premieres September 1st on Prime Video, so if you haven't already got Prime, I'd get it soon and then sort of rewatch the first season a bunch of times. That's what I'm doing right now in preparation for Season 2. Now, if you really like The Wheel of Time, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I do breakdowns for each and every episode. I'll do an Easter egg, I'll do a breakdown of the episode, and I'll do reviews, and I'll cover the news, of course, during the season. So make sure you also subscribe to the channel. And thank you so very much for sticking with us here to the very end. And here's to many more.